So let me start with the question why I think it is important for scholars to think about violence today. The main reason that I think it's important for scholars is that there has been an inflation of the concept of violence in academic circles. I mean, everything has been called violence, every insult, everything you didn't like, you would always call violence, you would even call rape. And I think out of respect for the victims of real violence, we have to return to a more concrete concept of violence, to a more concrete definition of violence. So I will propose to understand by violence the occupation of spaces by bodies against the resistance of other bodies. The occupation of spaces by bodies against the resistance of other bodies. That includes, for example, rape. And I think this is related to two very important questions, not so much the internally debated question whether the political and strategical use of violence is legitimate or not. I mean, it is normally not legitimate, but that's relatively banal from an ethical point of view. What I think is an open question and a relevant question to discuss is, in the first place, what is the origin of violence? And I focus on crowds, because we do know that if people assemble in a crowd, that there is a danger or a possibility of violence to emerge. But why is this so? Why is there a relationship between crowds and violence? That is one question that I think one should pursue, the question of the origin of violence. And a second question, maybe a scandalous question, is the question of whether humans need violence. If we think about humans like the philosopher Descartes did, namely purely being the mind, consciousness, then there is no necessity for violence. But if we think that the body, our physical existence, belongs to human existence, then perhaps there might be, I don't know, a necessity, a need for violence in humans. And if this is the case, then we have to think whether there are certain institutions, certain concepts where this violence can articulate itself, can erupt itself, where humans can have this need of violence without hurting other people. And by the way, I think that sports events, stadium crowds, can be such a type of violence. So this is what I think intellectuals, but above all scholars, should think about today when they thematize the concept of violence.